I would never worship a god. They would send someone to an eternal.
Okay, so watch that full video. The comments are kind of sad, and I'm just gonna say all I think is that this video proves a lot of people either don't understand God, don't understand the Bible, or minimize the implications of sin. So, as a Christian, I definitely feel like there are some tough questions that the Bible does not answer, but there's also a lot more hope, love, joy, and peace in the message of the Bible. Addressing the first man who was a Satanist, he basically misunderstands how free will works. You see, in order for you to believe in God, it has to be your choice. God is not going to force his presence on people who don't actually want his presence. And so God exists. God limits the evidence, his existence to us, not because he doesn't love us and he wants a relationship with us, but we have to choose that relationship. God already chose us. He chose us when he created us. But we have to choose to have a relationship with him, or it wouldn't be love. You see, if everyone was forced to believe in God because there was no choice to not believe in God, which there's no choice to reject God if you already are fully aware of God's existence, right? So he limits how much of his presence is available to us so that we ultimately have the choice. So there's enough evidence to believe in God, but there's enough doubt where it's ultimately your choice whether or not you believe. And that is God's way of giving us the free will to reject him. Because, like I said, if God's existence was fully known to every single person, we'd have no choice but to worship him, right? And then there's also the argument like, well, I can fully know God's existence and God's goodness and how pure and righteous he is, and you're still going to reject him regardless. So it's just like a heart with disbelief and a heart who doesn't want God to begin with. It doesn't matter if you saw God in full form in front of you, you still wouldn't believe him. So it's not a real argument if you would still choose not to follow God, fully knowing that he existed. Secondly, the second part, Neil deGrasse Tyson's, pretty much his assumption of God can't be good or can't be all powerful simply because bad things exist in the world. This is something that is a false absolute, because you're creating a context of, because there's all these natural disasters. It's a false presumption, essentially, like the presumption that God can't be good because natural disasters happen, or God can't be good because there's birth defects. Because we misunderstand what is actually good according to God, because we are limited to the full picture. So we might, in our worldview, think the best or the most good thing is for everyone just to be born perfect and healthy and never have any issues. But God's goodness sees things differently because he's the ultimate good. So the reason that we think it's bad is because we don't understand what God believes and sees as good. Also, I feel like it's a mindset that you have when you don't recognize that there's an eternal existence outside of the world that we live in. Because as a Christian, we believe in eternity, and there is a perfect world called heaven. So the world that we currently live in is not supposed to be perfect, and it's a fallen world, and it's a world that does have natural disasters and imperfections and all of these things because of sin. According, that's what the Bible says is the reason. But the gift of God and the gift of salvation is an eternity in heaven where there is perfection, where there is no suffering, where there is, um, you know, everyone is whole and fully perfect in their bodies. So it's just like the limitations that you have in understanding the God or understanding the Bible is limited to honestly, your desire to have a relationship with God or not. And ultimately, God gives us the choice to believe in him or to reject him, and he's not going to force his will onto mankind.